Hello everyone. You all are most welcome in this class of culture. We earlier discussed about social group, norms and values, status and role, and many topics. Here we will discuss about culture. What is culture? Why culture is necessary? Everyone say our culture, your culture, our culture is best, your culture is inferior, our culture, they think that our culture is superior. What is culture? The first question is that what society think about culture. Society generally think that culture is that this is how a person look very handsome and smart, that is culture. No, just look what is culture. Generally we keep using the word culture continuously in day-to-day life. Also the word culture is also used in different meaning. For example, it does not happen in our culture and it is accepted in Western culture as a sociology science. Any concept has a clear meaning that reflects scientific perception, scientific understanding that is universally accepted. Therefore, culture means learned behavior. Culture means that behavior that have been learned as a sociological concept. That is whatever a person has learned since childhood, for example, on the basis of food, on the basis for walking, talking, knowledge of language, writing, reading, any abilities, jumping, eating food, sitting, wearing dresses, and talking, how to talk. All things whatever you had been learning, you had learned for a long time since childhood and have been learning. It is a process, that is culture. Whatever you learn how to walk, you learn how to talk, you learn how to write, you learn how to read. Even formal and informal, you are learning in family as well as you are learning in school, college, anywhere. Whatever you learn, that is culture. You learn how to brush the teeth, you learn how to put on the dresses, you learn how to comb, you learn how to wear spectacles. Everything whatever you learn, that is culture. That is why it is learned behavior. Very simple. What is the man's behavior culture? Human behavior have many aspects. Biological behavior like sleeping, walking, running. Psychological behavior like thinking, fearing, laughing, etc. Social behavior like greetings, reading, writing, talking. These are we have learned gradually in society. We don't take biological behavior or psychological behavior under culture. Culture is the aspect of human behavior that a person learns as a member of society, such as wearing clothes, religion, knowledge, etc. An important difference between human and animal society is human culture. So, culture is the main base, and when biological and psychological is basic, but culture we learn from society. For example, we learn how to drink, we learn how to wear the dress, we learn how to swim, we learn how to eat. These are the culture. Do you know how human we are able to build culture? Leslie White mentioned 5 distinct abilities in human which human have acquired from nature, as a result of which they have been able to create culture. The first feature is ability to human to stand. This allows the person to do useful with both hands. Second, man's hands are designed as a result of which he is able to move his hand freely in any direction and through him create various things. Third, a sharp vision of human being, due to which he is able to observe nature and event and make various discoveries and inventions. Fourth, developed brain, with which human being can think better than other being. It is due to this brain that he presents logic and is able to establish work, cause, relationship. Fifth, the ability to construct symbol, language. Through these symbols, a person is able to transfer his knowledge and experience from one generation to next generation. Language development was possible only through symbols, and people have been able to exchange their knowledge and ideas. Thus, it is clear that symbols have a huge contribution in the creation, development, change, and expansion of culture. Do you know regarding culture is first mentioned in his book, in the book Primitive Culture, published 1871 by famous anthropologist Edward Bernard Tyler. Tyler is primarily known for his definition culture. According to him, culture is complex whole which include knowledge, belief, art, morals, law, customs, and any other capabilities and habit acquired by man as a member of society. It makes sense. Tyler has used culture as a broader sense. According to him, being social animal, everything is a person possesses and learn is culture. Tyler definition only non-material are included: knowledge, belief, art, morals, law, custom, and capabilities. All are invisible. So Tyler include in culture all invisible things. Meaning and definition of culture. We are here to see some definition of some scientists. Robert Bierstedt, in his book Social Order, he told, culture is total complexity which include all things that we consider, act, and keep as a member of society. Culture include both side, physical or non-physical. Means physical, as for example, table, chair, glass, that is touched, that is physical. And non-physical, as for example, knowledge, belief, this is non-physical. Herskovitz has told in his book Man and His Work, culture is man-made part of environment. This is very important definition. Bogardos, culture is the name of all the ways of working and thinking of group. Malinowski, culture is man, work and means by which he achieves his goals. It is the means in terms of Malinowski. Must understand, always used to ask the question in examination. Means of achieving goal by Malinowski. Redfield, culture is the style of life of member of society. Looking at the appropriate definition, it is clear that various sociologists and anthropologists have given a definition of culture based on their perspective. In fact, culture is the way of life of society, and in this form, it continues to be passed down generation after generation after necessary changes and scraps. All kind of thought and behavior come under culture. Therefore, it is clear that complex whole of physical and non-physical elements in culture, which person receives as a member of society through which he lives. Nature of characteristics of culture. So we will see here the characteristics and features of culture. Culture is learned behavior. We will highlight the title of characteristics. Culture is social. Culture is learned behavior. As we know earlier, we know culture by learning. One does not acquire it through the inheritance of his ancestors, but learns through the process of socialization in society. This learning goes on continuously throughout the life from birth to death. Culture is social. Culture is social. Culture has the virtue of sociality. The whole society and social relations are presented under culture. Culture is not biological. Culture is not psychological. So we take from society. Therefore, it can be said that behavior learned by anyone or 4 person cannot be culture. So culture represents the way of life of a society. Culture is transmissive. It is it is due to this quality of culture that culture goes from one generation to next generation. So experience and ideas are added to it from generation to generation. Due to this, there is little changes and scoring in the culture. Culture is man-made. So culture is man-made. Culture refers to all those elements which have been created by man himself. For example, our religion, belief, knowledge, ethics, manner, behavior, means, ideas, everything, chair, table, spectacles have been constructed by human beings. So culture is man-made. It is called by Hershkovitz. Culture is man-made part of environment. That is very important. Always ask the question in examination. Culture fulfills human needs. Culture has the property of fulfilling human needs. Even the smallest unit of culture directly or indirectly meet or help fulfillment of need. Malinowski's view. The famous anthropologist Malinowski stated the survival of even the smallest element of culture depends on its quality of supply. When any element of culture has no quality to supply it, then its existence also ceases. For example, the element of culture in ancient time were eliminated because they were unable to fulfill the need, in which sati partha can be seen an example. Similarly, a unit in system sometimes appear to be very small, but that unit is also very important for system. Thus, none of the element of culture is non-functional, but rather fulfill the human needs. So, nothing is for meaningless. Everything is for human need. Every society has its own distinct culture. A culture has adaptive quality. An important feature of culture is that it is adaptive to need over time. Culture is according to the environment and condition of the society. When the environment and situation change, culture also adapts itself accordingly. Culture is super organic, very important concept. Human has created culture by using his mental and physical abilities, which is above the self. By developing in culture, a person develop, then build a human culture that goes above human. The basis of all ability of human being is always, but the culture become above all. So culture is super organic. Culture is not only representing one man, that is why it has become super organic. Culture is super individual because culture is not a creation of one human being or one individual. Culture has the integrative. Culture has many elements and sections under the culture, but they are not separate among themselves. So it is integrative. Culture is ideal of the group. So culture of each group is an ideal. This type of perception is found in all society. All people consider their own culture as ideal and consider their culture higher than other culture. Culture is also ideal because its behavior, not the pattern of an individual, the pattern of the whole group. You need to understand that according to Immanuel Durkheim, culture is a symbol of collective consciousness. That it does not represent a person but a group. So it considered ideal, that is why is disregarded against collective consciousness. It condemned, and the person who respect it praised type of culture. Akbar Nimkov discussed two types of culture: material culture and non-material culture. Material matlab physical culture that can be touched, and physical tangible things which have been created for human and which we can see and touch. The number of material culture is more in modern society than in primitive society. Professor Bierstead has tried to make it more clear by dividing all elements material culture into three classes: machine, equipment, and pottery. Machine, equipment, pottery, building, road, bridge, craft, object, artistic item, clothing, vehicle, furniture, food item, drugs. Characteristics of material cultures are follows. Material culture is tangible, it keeps on increasing continuously. Material culture can be measured. Changes in fundamental culture are quick. Its usefulness and benefits can be evaluated. It cannot be accepted without changing the material culture. That is, there is no different in its form, in moving and adopting. So material culture is tangible. Suppose chair, it is material, we can touch, we can visible, we can see it, we can touch it, and we can adopt easily. And non-material culture here, but in opposite to material culture, non-material culture, it is intangible, it is non-material, we cannot touch this, we cannot measure it, we cannot weight it, there is no shape, there is no color, no physical culture, so it is non-material, like our belief, our norms, our education, our ideas, our habit, our folkways are non-materials. Beer State has divided all ideal rules into 14 parts. All non-material are 14 parts, that is law, act, rule, regulation, practice, democracy, thought, prohibition, fashion, sanskar, karma, rituals, convention, virtues. And the characteristics of non-material culture are as follows. Non-material culture is intangible. It is difficult to measure. Non-physical culture is complex. How to measure ideas, how to measure folkways, how to measure customs, how to measure tradition, how to measure knowledge. Non-physical culture is complex. Evaluating its usefulness, its benefits is difficult task. Change in non-material culture is very slow. And when the non-material culture is adopted from one place to another, then there is a slight change in its form. Non-material culture is related to spiritual and internal life of man. Difference between physical and non-physical culture. Material culture is also called civilization, whereas non-material culture is simply called culture. When you talk about civilization, civilization is nothing but is material culture. You can touch it, and culture is nothing but it is non-physical culture, non-material things, means idea, habit, folkways, customs, tradition, norms. These are culture. And chair, table, fridge, almirah, that are physical culture, that is civilization. Material culture is tangible, while non-material culture is intangible. Material culture is easy to accept than non-material culture. Very easy. You must understand the concept and differences. These types of questions always asked in various examination, in academic as well as UGC NET examination. So you must clear your concept. Non-material culture changes more slowly than material culture. You must remember these points. Since physical culture is tangible, it is easy to measure, but due to non-physical culture, it is difficult to measure. In physical culture, growth occurred rapid pace, while non-physical culture growth takes place at very slow pace. The growth and accumulation of non-material culture cannot be explained. The benefit and usefulness of material culture can be measured, but the usefulness and aim of non-material culture cannot be evaluated. Physical protection is associated with honorary and physical life, while non-physical culture is associated with the spiritual and internal life of human beings. Material culture is simple, while non-physical culture is complex. The structure of culture. The structure of culture is in three parts. Cultural traits is the basic unit, and cultural complex, which made up from many cultural traits, and cultural pattern, or you can say, or culture configuration. It is made of many cultural traits and cultural complex. Together it becomes cultural pattern. So cultural element or cultural traits. Cultural elements are the smallest unit of culture or solitary elements. Culture is created by mixing these unit. Culture is created by mixing these unit. Herskovitz called the cultural element smallest recognizable entity in particular culture. Korober call ultimate defining element of culture. For example, shaking hand, touching the feet, taking off, kissing the cheeks. These are the unit of culture in any society. Each culture element has its own history, whether history is small or big. The culture element is not a stable mobility, especially culture element have nature of conjugation, this dissolve together like vase of flower. Cultural complexes consist of cultural element. When some many element together meet human need, they being bowed down in front of the idol, sprinkling holy water on it, placing some food in his mouth, in his folding hand, taking offering from priest, and singing the arti, all elements together from the religious cultural complex. Cultural pattern. Cultural paradigm or pattern is born when the cultural elements and cluster become interrelated in functional role. Culture, the study of paradigm lead to knowledge of the salient feature of culture. For example, Gandhism, spiritualism, caste system, joint family, rural culture are culture. These are cultural pattern. Clark Whistler mentioned 9 grounds based on cultural element. You should remember on what ground, how many grounds Clark Whistler based culture element? 9 ground. Voice and language, physical element, food, habitat, traffic, utensils, arms, business, industry, art, mythology and scientific knowledge, religious activity, family and social species, property, governance, war. Kimball Young incorporated 13 elements for culture. Pattern, Charan Singh and language, pattern of culture and language, good and right for the welfare of human, quality and means of transport, exchange of goods, service, trade, commerce, type of property, family and family pattern, social control, governing institute, artistic expression, leisure activity, religious and magic ideals, mythology, physiology, science, cultural structure. Here we will look some function of culture on for 2 types on the basis of a person or for the group. There are 2 types of function, for the person and for the group. For the person, culture makes man human, solve complex situation, meeting human need, and personality building, provide value and ideals to human. And for society, and this is and determine human habit. You should remember this. Determines morality, bring uniformity in behavior, enhance experience and efficiency, provide protection of the person, solves problem. It gives yoga in socialization, determines the status and role, assistant in social control. Now we will look the function for the group. It keeps social relations stable, elaborate a person's point of view, generate a new requirement, phase of culture. Dubé discussed 6 stages of culture: Adi Stone, Paleolithic, Pre-Stone, Paleolithic, Neolithic, Copper Age, and Cos, Bronze Age, Iron Age. Normative base of culture. Emile Durkheim said in relation to need regulatory ground to maintain the unity and stability of the society, Sumner emphasized the need for regulatory base for the effective function of society. When we talk about the regulatory ground of culture, we discuss all the intangible form of the control social behavior in some way. We direct and influence, example, rule, values, generate. These are called normative base of culture. Social sanction. There are two types of discipline: positive sanction and negative sanctions. Now we will discuss, now we will discuss a very important topic associated with culture, that is cultural lag, that has been discussed by W.F. Ogburn in his book Social Change in 1925. According to Ogburn, culture can be broadly divided into two parts: physical and non-physical. Here Ogburn want to show the gap between physical and non-physical culture. These two part of spiritual culture do not change at the same pace. For some reason, one part goes ahead. Suppose physical culture go ahead, and second one is left behind. As a result, cultural delay arises, disease arises, delay arises. That is called lag. The society changes as soon as missing part is brought forward. In this way, a gap is there, and when society fill the gap, the changes occur in the society. According to Akban, this delay is material, is the technology in the hand of sociologists through which society change. All the examples given here make it clear that material culture goes ahead and remain immaterial. He received a lot of criticism on this, acknowledging these criticisms in 1957 on social and cultural change. He defined it as theory defining cultural delay in a fresh. According to cultural lag, when and the two parts which are correlated or change before in greater degree than the other part does there, by causing less adjustment between the part than existed previously. It is clear from the definition that the following conditions are necessary for cultural delay. Any two variables, both physical, both non-physical, may be. It is necessary to have a correlation between the two variables. Adaptation between the two variables at a particular time is necessary. For some reasons, one move forward or one backward. As a result, both get delay, that is called lag. It is cultural lag. There are four factors causing cultural lag: conservatism, allegiance to the past, fear of new ideas, vested interest. This also asks in question UGC NET and various examinations. What are the factors which make or create the cultural lag? That is conservatism, allegiance to the past, fear to new idea, and vested interest. Criticizing this McIvan page started technological lag should be used instead of cultural lag. In today's sociology, cultural lag is significant because it's only talk about two variables, whereas in any science today there are multiple factors. Culture change, the question arises as to why culture change. Sumner has given three reasons. 100% transfer of culture is impossible. Changes is in external condition. Attempt to adapt. Cultural contact. When two different cultures come into contact with each other, they make cultural contact. Sanskritization due to cultural contact. The process of acculturation. Acculturation, according to Herskovits has been given this term when the element of two cultures intermingle, they meet. It a two-way process, like Indian Muslim and Hindus have adopted each other elements. Cultural relativism. This is mentioned by Herskovits. Cultural relativity means the founding of different culture. We can express cultural relativism by the example of salutation in India. We join hands of salutation, shaking hand and hats. In Western society, in Japan, the body is bowed. Then the people of Maasai tribal Africa spit on each other. The experience decision and behavior of every human being are in accordance with their culture. This is called cultural relativism. Therefore, Harskovich says that no culture should be compared on the basis of their values of another culture. Rather, every culture should be evaluated in relation to its own culture. That is called cultural relativism. Always ask in UGC NET examination. Ethnocentrism, self-centered culture. This term given by W.G. Sumner, when people of one's culture consider their culture to be higher and evaluate other culture with their own culture. Temporocentrism. Bierstedt discussed this term that pastor of every form is considered more important. Temporocentrism, autocentric. So everyone says that our time is very good. This is temporocentrism. Transculturation is the process in which two or more cultures exchange themselves. This is called transculturation. Cultural pluralism. Cultural pluralism refers to society where a lot of people live together. Everyone respect each other. No one consider any inferiority. Indian culture is an example of cultural pluralism. Now we talk about civilization. As we have already know about civilization, that I have already discussed, that is physical culture. When we talk about, so we just overlook about civilization. People commonly use the word civilization in the sense of culture, that is in common language, by understanding both of them the same sense. Under civilization we include the material thing through which we can take off our need, supplement. For example, houses, table, pen can be seen and touched. The material culture, that is Harappan civilization, that is civilization. According to Akbar Nimkov, civilization was post-modern culture. According to Green, culture becomes civilization when it has written language, science, philosophy, high specialized division of labor, complex method, political system. So it is a feature. Now just look overview about the civilization. Physical form. Utility of civilization does not include all material good. It contains all those things which are important from the utility point of view. Always civilization is focused on utility point. Civilization is the means that include that those things under it by which man served his purpose. And transitionality, it is changeable, fixed direction. Civilization has one directional, but culture has multidimensional and vast and complicated. Measurement is possible in civilization, but culture very difficult. Receptivity. The quality of receptivity is found in civilization, that is any person accepts civilization and benefit from it. Whether the creation or invention of an object is any corner of the world, but people can easily take it every field and benefit from it. Suppose a washing machine. If we use washing machine in all over the world. Why? Because it is civilization, material culture. We see the need of washing machine. It is very important, and so we just take it and we use it. Alternativity. It is not compulsory to adopt all things that come under civilization. It depends upon the desire and interest of the person whether he will be adopt that things or not. For example, a person can travel by train, bus, or even on foot. So we can use mobile of many types of mobile. That is alternatively. Difference between civilization and culture, we already have understood. Civilization can be measured, but culture not. Understand? And equality always moves forward, but not in culture. Civilization progresses without effect, not culture. It is civilization can be adopted without any change, but not culture. Civilization is external, but culture is internal. Equality is tangible while culture is intangible. Civilization is touched, culture is not touched. Civilization is the means while culture is practicable. And culture and personality. There is close connection between culture and personality. Culture, personality is considered to be the factor that contribute to a certain creation. Personality is the product of culture and society. Suppose if a person who is living in America, a personality become a personality influenced by American society, and socialization occurs in that situation. So society, environment, social situation, social environment, that is called culture, always affect the personality. The personality is considered to be eccentric. Culture is prominent among them. Culture plays a very important role in personality development. It plays to no lesson of these two. So these are the in personality and culture are interrelated, as we have discussed earlier. Personality base here. There are some basic rules of base of personality: physical aspect, society, and culture. Physical, there are some physical character of personality, that race and height, color, and society and culture. These three are the factors influence the personality. Social base is the culture, society is the socialization, how a person is socialized in society, what are the conditions. In some society there are education, in some society there are modern education, in some society there are traditional education. As per we are getting the education, we are getting social impact, we are getting culture, that becomes the base of personality, cultural base, how we are getting culture. Suppose in some society we are getting culture of doing namaskar, in some society we are getting the culture of doing salam, culture of doing good morning, that become the base of personality. So later on, later on we will discuss on social processes. So ultimately, in conclusion, I would like to tell you that culture is man-made part of environment, and culture is learned behavior. Culture is two types, physical and non-physical. When physical culture is called civilization. So civilization is just physical culture, it is touched, it is tangible, and non-physical culture, that is called culture, and it is intangible, that cannot be touched, and it cannot be measured. Physical culture or civilization is measured, and there are so many things also associated with these cultures which have been discussed earlier. So I think you could understand easily. You listen this lecture again and again so that you can understand the concept, because in UGC NET as well as in academic exam there are a lot of confusing questions came from this subject, this chapter. So please understand, listen many times, and clear the basic concept. Thank you, all the best. If you have any confusion, any difficulties regarding culture, you just write in comments. I will answer. Thank you very much.